Hi, Sagittarius. Welcome to a love reading for May 2024. It's Raina here. I'm a Sag. But this reading is for couples and singles. But if you are in a coupledom, this is for people who are having problems in their relationships, not for people who are having good relationships. So keep that in mind. And I'm just going to pick 4 cards. And oh my goodness, I already got that's awesome. Okay. Doesn't matter which direction I read them. I think I'm going to read it from right to left this time. I don't do my readings as fortune telling, even though sometimes it can come across like that. I'm more interested in proactive kind of attitudes that people have, and I use the cards for synchronistic purposes, like what might be happening in your life. So the first card here is the 7 of Cups. For people who are single, you may be entering a time where there's a lot of options available for you. Astrologically, for people who are Sages, I'm a Sun and Sag myself, but I'm taken. Sorry. Eat your heart out. No, I'm just kidding. But for people who are single, in your 5th house of romance and dating, you have uh, the solar eclipse in Aries just occurred. So that this might be the result of that, where there's a lot of opportunities for you to date, but you might be kind of like not sure. You can see the snake in one of the cups. There's a rose, there's a heart, but there's like these weird things in some of them. A cyclone. There's like a tornado in one of the cups. And that's to symbolize that things might not be what they seem. So it's like when you have eclipses in the 5th house, it can kind of turbocharge your love life, but will you get quality candidates is the real question. It all depends on you, like how you perceive love itself. Like, is it something that you have to like grab because you're afraid it's going to go away? But I think a lot of Sages tend to be very freedom oriented, so you might not be that, I was going to say desperate, but what I mean is in need of like having a relationship, because you're very self-sufficient in a lot of ways. If you're in a marriage or partnership, of committed partnership, the 7 of Cups can be a card of confusion, delusion, where you're kind of like lying to yourself about the situation. So you have to watch that, because it can keep you in a bad situation longer than you need to be there. And also, I would say this is also a card of addiction, because it's connected to Neptune, if I'm not mistaken. So the Neptune is connected to confusion sometimes, and addiction and wishful thinking. But when it comes to addiction, I'm talking about you might be with somebody who has an issue with substance abuse, and that's one of the big reasons why you feel like the relationship is not uh, what you want it to be. And if that's the case, keep in mind that you know you don't have to feel guilty about not wanting to be in that scenario. I think a lot of Sages are warm-hearted and don't want to be, and also open-minded. But sometimes you have to take care of yourself, and maybe you have tried, and it just isn't working out. So you have to do what you got to do what you got to do. The next card I have here is the Magician. And this really is about being a conscious co-creator with the universe. I know that's kind of like a hippy-dippy phrase. What it means is that you're not just sitting here in life and things are happening to you. You are also interacting with the universe. But I like the term co-creator rather than creator because, first of all, when we think of creator, we think of God. So we're not trying to play God, but we're part of God. So we have those qualities that God possesses, maybe in more minute qualities, but we still possess them. And we do make choices all day, every day. So that is creating your reality or co-creating your reality. But you can't just say that you are just completely creating everything, because there are other people that are part of the dynamic and they affect things too. So we can only stay in our own lane, but as long as we understand that we are part of this, that's what really matters. And this card is connected to Aries, by the way. So it might be, if you are dealing with somebody who's an Aries, or if you are sweet on an Aries person, which is a fellow fire sign, funny enough, I remember thinking to myself, you know what? I don't think I get along with other fire signs all that well. I always find them a little bit overwhelming, Aries and Leo people. And I have a lot of earth in my chart. So maybe that's a big part of it. But, everything is, when you hear this stuff in astrology about like, oh yeah, you get along great with these signs, you make you may have a lot in common, but it doesn't mean you're going to actually get along with them in real life. It's all on paper, if it looks good, or if it feels good. In real life, it is what it is. You have to accept things the way that they actually come down the pike. So, if you are single with the Magician card, it's all about believing that the person who is right for you is somebody that you can, I was going to say conjure up, but I don't mean it like in some kind of a witchy kind of a way. What I mean is that you can attract the person who is right for you by how you put yourself out there. Or you could even say, if you put yourself out there. But if you're kind of ambivalent, I think that it's going to be a very wishy-washy vibe. It's not going to really be a strong signal that you're sending out. So you have to really get clear about the idea of relationship in general. And like I said, Sages are very freedom loving, and you may have mixed feelings about relationships. Maybe you've had relationships where somebody tried to control you, and so you're a little bit gun shy, and that would make sense. But you probably did not uh, choose wisely, and so you got the wrong type of person for you. So some of that is kind of cleaning up. I think Abraham Hicks talks about cleaning up your vibration, which means that you're really kind of weeding out some of these ideas that cause conflict within yourself as it pertains to love. And you can do that. You can actually clear things up. You don't have to be in the dark for long. If you are, coupled, it's also about not feeling hopeless, or actually, I was going to say helpless, because if you feel that it's time to end a relationship that is not mutual or mutually beneficial, I should say, that you don't feel that growth that Sagittarians crave, then the Magician card is about feeling self-empowered to be able to kind of go your own way, if that's what it involves. Also, but if you want to make it work, then you can do that as well. The Knight of Cups, this is an offer of love. This is a very romantic card. I feel like in May, some of you may actually have this happen for you. And this is backed up by astrology because, well, I'll say it this way. In May, we have our full moon of the year. which is happening on May 23rd. I don't know if it's on the 24th for other people. I don't know what time it is, so I can't say um, specifically for everybody in the whole wide world, but I know where I live in the United States, it's going to be on the 23rd. And it's going to be at almost 3 degrees of Sagittarius. So this full moon, or any full moon, the sun is in the opposing sign. So what that can mean is that Sages are experiencing this interaction with the seventh house, and so that can trigger certain things happening with that. And also, this can be a situation where this is actually something that is happening in June, but it's not too long after June begins, that there is a new moon in Gemini. And so that is happening. So that also affects the seventh house of committed partnership. So that's beyond the scope of this particular reading, but it's, first you have that full moon and then you have that new moon. So there you go. So pay attention to June, to the month of May and into June, into the first week in June, for relationship issues to be. So I would say like the third week in June and May, and then 2 weeks after that could really be a time when that is relevant to you. It's funny, like I picked 4 cards and I went, like this, and this is the third card. You could say that's the third week, but I'm not, specifying. I didn't, start the reading specifying that. Then we have the Strength card, and this is a card I really think of. First of all, it's kind of like your confidence growing. So I do think of people who, and this can also apply to single people as well, because it may be that you have gotten burned in the past. And so if you're single, you may be single in a very like defiant way, like, I'm not going to do that again because it was so bad. Or it just doesn't seem like it's like, why even bother? If it's going to be like this, why even bother? And that's reactive, because sometimes it does feel like it's not worth it if it's going to lead to something so negative. And I do think that people should definitely keep in mind that you have the ability to transcend anything that has happened in the past, and not to get too concerned about the past and think that it's going to be true for you forever, because that's simply not the case. I was looking at, I think it was probably some Hollywood actor, and this was somebody from, I think, like, a classic star, maybe from the 30s or 40s. I can't remember who it was, but they had been married like multiple times. I was looking on Wikipedia, and I think they had been married like 4 or 5 times. And that's, excessive if you think about it. But they did, like, it was interesting because the last marriage that they had, I think it was later in life, and they stayed together with that person until they passed away. And I think it was around 20 years or so. It was a longer period of time than the other relationships. So what that tells me is that sometimes, people might get married, or these days people don't feel the need to get married to be in a serious relationship. So they might live with someone, and they might do so over and over again, and it doesn't last very long because they haven't met the right person. And then when they do, it's like for life. So never say never is basically where I'm going with that. And if you are feeling trapped in a relationship that doesn't feel good, the Strength card gives you hope that you can persevere, that you can feel confident to take charge of your life, Sag, because sometimes when people get embroiled in a very negative relationship, they can start to lose confidence in themselves, especially if the other person is really negative um, towards them. It can feel really bad. So just putting it out there like that, keep the faith, because there could be something that is really meant for you, and it's not something that you have to fear. Um, you know, you have like sovereignty as a soul. You're not like, sometimes it does feel like you're gonna, if you're with someone that you don't want to be, that you're gonna die with that person. And it's not true at all. Once you might not be able to see a way out right now, but if you set intentions for that, then I feel that the universe is going to make a way for you in the easiest way possible. And if you still love this person, you could reform the relationship. Now, obviously, the other person has to participate, but you can start the process on your own for your own self growth. All right. That's what I have for you. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private love reading or any of the other readings that I offer private love readings that involve your natal chart and the other person's natal chart. If you're single, you know, I guess it would be just your chart, but looking at patterns, looking at transits. I even do a mini tarot reading, but I have career readings and all kinds of readings. You can find out more information at the link below. Thanks for watching. Bye.